Please like this video. It will really help this story reach as many people as possible. Thank you so much for your support. She pulled her arm away like my touch was a hot stove. We were in the kitchen. She was rinsing a mug that didn't need rinsing, and I did what I always do when a day goes sideways. I stepped behind Jenna and put a hand on her shoulder. She stiffened, tilted her head just enough to miss me, and kept the faucet running. Seriously, I asked. I wasn't whining. I was taking inventory. I'm busy, she muttered. Don't start. Start what? Saying hi in my own kitchen. The mug clinkered in the sink. She flicked off the water and finally looked at me like I was a stranger leaning over her cart at the grocery store. I'm tired, Michael. Can we not? We could not. We could not all week if that was the rule now. But I'm a man who likes written rules, not invisible ones. If this is a mood, fine, I said. If this is a new policy, say it. She grabbed a dish towel and moved past me. Don't make everything a policy. Then don't make everything a dodge. Her eyes narrowed and I could see the closing statement forming. She didn't say it. She just left the towel on the counter and walked down the hall. Bedroom door clicked. I stared at the mug in the sink, spotless as a church window. The kind of clean that says a lot and answers nothing. If I'd known where it was headed, I would have taken a picture of that mug. Frame it like a warning label. I gave it a night. Next morning, I made eggs, packed her lunch, set coffee on a coaster by her purse. I put a note under the cup. Dinner at 7 o'clock. She came out in a blouse I hadn't seen in a while. Neat and crisp, hairpin like a meeting, had names and name tags. She glanced at the note, then at me. 7 won't work, she said, sipping coffee and not sitting. I'm with Sarah. Great. Tell her I said hi. She ignored that. Don't wait up. I wasn't planning a vigil. I was planning dinner. Michael, she put down the cup. Please, not now. Okay, then when? She checked her phone. Thumb something. We'll figure it out. Partners figure it out together. She grabbed her keys and kissed the air near my cheek like she was blessing a statue. Door shut. Silence folded over the house like heavy snow. I went to work. I run a small crew. Kitchens, bathrooms, things with edges and measurements that behave. My guy Nate leaned against the toolbox when I came in. Boss, you look like a man who slept on a concrete idea. Concrete holds shape, I told him. I'm more in the wet clay family today. Trouble at home, shift in weather. I'm checking the barometer. He clicked his tongue. Nate's been through 2 marriages and knows the smell of a storm. You want me to pretend I didn't hear the phone if she calls? If she needs me, she knows where to find me. We loaded the truck. Work is honest. What doesn't gaslight you? It's either square or it's not. By noon, I had a backsplash, straight enough to shave by, and my mind cooled. I texted her at 3. How's your day? No reply. At 6 o'clock, I texted again. Still with Sarah. At 10:30, my phone busts. Late night. Don't wait. I stared at the message, then at the clock. Our hallway felt longer than usual. When I turned off the living room lights, I lay in bed and listened to a house that suddenly had too much air. Next day, I tried a different approach. Clarity. Jenna was at the kitchen island, tablet open, earbuds in. I pulled out the stool across from her. Quick agenda, I said. We've been off. I want to know what changed. She took out one earbud like I was the second call on hold. Nothing changed. Then the cold front is imaginary. I'm stressed from what? Work, everything. Define everything, Jenna. She slid the tablet closer to herself. I don't have to define my feelings. You don't, but we do have to define how we treat each other. You're being intense. I'm being specific. Her mouth twitched, a smile without warmth. You're overthinking. I'm not 12. I see patterns. You've gone quiet. You dodge plans. You flinch when I touch you. If this is you asking for space, say it. I can respect space. She rolled her eyes. God, Michael, you're suffocating me with the word respect. It's cheaper than therapy. She put the earbud back in. I need to focus. Copy that. I stood. I'm going to the shop after work to finish the van shelves. I'll be home late. Don't wait. No reaction. That was the first initiative. You don't argue with a wall. You walk around it. I rearranged my week, shifted our shared calendar to private, and moved some accounts out of the joint bucket. Nothing dramatic, just adult logistics. Access reflects access. That weekend, we were supposed to have dinner with neighbors. Jenna texted in the afternoon, "Let's skip. I'm not feeling it." I went by myself. The neighbor, Mrs. Alvarez, handed me a dish towel and a question with the same directness. "Where's your wife, Michael?" "Scheduling conflict. She okay?" "She's recalibrating." Mrs. Alvarez is 60, has seen the war of small looks and big silences. She nodded and passed me a bowl. "Recalibrate with food," she said. Sit. Halfway through the evening, my phone lit up. "Jenna, I hope you didn't go." I typed, "I did. I'm not cancelling my life." Hit send, pocketed the phone. That was the public boundary. Short, precise, no footnotes. When I got home, she was on the couch, TV on mute. I took the chair across from her. "You went," she said. "I did." That was inconsiderate. Cancelling on people an hour before is inconsiderate. Showing up is just showing up. I told you I wasn't feeling it. You're allowed to pass. I'm allowed to honor my plans. You make everything a principle. I make everything a decision I can stand by. Her stare lingered. "You're being harsh." "No, I'm done acting confused." She huffed and turned the TV volume up. I stood, picked up my keys, and left the remote where it was. At the shop, the smell of cut pine made more sense than that house. 3 days went like that. Polite frost, short texts, no affection. At work, Nate handed me a sandwich and a look. "You going to talk to her straight?" he asked. I did. She said nothing changed. "Huh, that's like when a client says, 'Do whatever,' and then cries about the cabinet color. I'm done painting without a spec." "Good. Meanwhile, you could crash at my place if you need a break." "I'm fine. I sleep great when the truth is on my side." He snorted. "That's a slogan. Put it on the van." On Thursday, Jenna thought very slightly. I came home to a pot of soup warming on the stove. "There's food if you want," she said, not meeting my eyes. "Thanks," she hovered, ladle in hand. "I know I've been distant." "That's accurate. It's just a lot lately. Also accurate." "I'll try to be more present," she said, pouring into a bowl. I leaned against the counter, trying as a start. "What does present mean to you?" She glanced up as if I was grading her. Less snappy dinner together, more night this weekend. That could work. I'll plan something. Okay. She set a bowl in front of me, a spoon on a napkin. It was almost domestic again. Almost I ate. We made small talk. She put her hand on my forearm once. A brush that registered as an update to a file, not a feeling. The soup was fine. The performance was better. I decided to test it with one boundary. I'm driving to Brian's shop tomorrow. I told her he wants me to check the new commercial build. That's far, she said, wiping the counter. Hour and change. Do you have to? I said I would, and I want to stand where my money stands. You'll be back by dinner. I won't make promises I can't keep. Text me if you need something specific. She nodded. Too quick. That was the midterm. Sweet tones after pressure with a schedule request wrapped inside. I filed it. Friday, I drove to Brian's. He runs a plumbing outfit. Talks fast, moves faster. You always look like a guy who slept with one eye open, he said, unlocking the warehouse door. Comes with the territory. Home, okay. Define, okay. He let that hang. Here's the layout, he said, handing me a clipboard. We walked the floor. I like the numbers. I like that nothing here took offense. At lunch, my phone pinged. Jenna, dinner tonight. 7, me out of town. Might be back late. 3 dots. Then nothing. 10 minutes later, okay, another night. 2 faces to the same coin. The soup had been the bandage. The text was the price tag. Driving back, I decided I was done speculating and ready for data. I don't do rumor. I do receipts. Saturday morning, I found a number. A friend of a friend. Private work that rhymes with pays attention. We met at a diner where the coffee refills never stop. He slid into the booth. Mid-40s, come ice. Name's Cole. Michael, what do you need? Baton, where my wife goes at night when she says she's with the girls. Names, descriptions, plate numbers. I pushed a paper across the table. He read fast. You want photos or just schedule? I want truth. Truth comes in time stamps. Good. 2 weeks enough. Make it 1. A rush costs more. I don't haggle on this. He nodded, took his coffee black, and left like a ghost who tips. That afternoon, I took another initiative. I moved what I could from our shared accounts into separate lines with my name only. Groceries still worked. Mortgage still worked. Extras did not. I switched off my location share. I kept my tone normal. When Jenna asked, "Can you transfer money for the spa on Saturday?" I answered, "Not this month. I'm tightening up expenses while we reset." "Since when do you tighten up without asking?" She shot back. Let me pause the story for just a second. If you're still listening, please hit the like button on this video. It really helps YouTube show this story to more people. Thank you so much for the support. Now, let's get back to the story. Since the last 30 days look like a mystery novel, that's rude. Truth usually is. She scoffed. You're punishing me. No, I'm correcting access to match participation. English, please. If we're not a team, we don't need a team budget. She stared at me, jaw flinching. You're unbelievable. I get that a lot. She left, keys jingling like a door prize. She was out late again. The timestamps tell their own story. 6:14 p.m. she's with Sarah. 11:49 p.m. the garage opens, and perfume, I don't know, walks in before she does. I was in the guest room by then. That was another rule. Space until we talk like adults. We never did. 3 days later, the first file dropped. Cole texted me a link. I opened it in my truck, parked 2 blocks from a job, a sea humming, photos, dates, places. Her car outside a restaurant we never tried. Her walking into a building I've never had reason to see. The man was in 3 shots. Always careful, always close. No names needed. I felt something like surprise, clean, cold, and brief. Then a calm I can work with. Cole called. You want me to keep going? Finish the week. Understood. I didn't confront her. I didn't even stare longer than needed. Confrontation is a gift to someone who needs drama. I was shopping for outcomes. I called a lawyer Monday morning. Patel Law, said a voice with a backbone. I need a quiet exit. She met me at her office at 4. Sharp eyes, no extra words. I laid out the pattern without the adjectives. She asked for documents. I had them. She asked about the house. I answered. She asked about accounts. I listed what I moved. Good, she said. We'll prepare. You want to serve now? No, I want it ready. I'll tell you when. Any safety concerns? Only my patience. She almost smiled, understood. On my way out, I texted Nate. Working late all week. He replied, work is cheaper than therapy, boss. Therapy keeps trying to make me confess. I'd rather build shelves. That week, Jenna ramped up a new tactic. Jokes. We were at a little get-together Nate threw for his crew in the yard behind the shop. The guys were there with their partners. Jenna rarely came to my work gatherings, but that night she appeared in a dress that said, I can perform charming. She looped her arm through mine like we were back on the same page. Look at you, she said, loud enough for 3 wives to hear. All serious. Any day now, he'll schedule a hug with a calendar invite. I raised an eyebrow. At least my invites come with dates. She laughed a little too sharp. He's like a foreman at home. Everything has to be measured. Things that fit don't creak. I returned. See. She looked at the group. The man never stops. Nate whistled low. Play nice, he said to the air. Jenna smiled at him. We're fine. Brian sidled up with a paper plate. You good, Mike? Always, I said, taking a chip. Jenna shifted the conversation. So ladies, she told the wives, how many of your husbands need a manual to be spontaneous? Laughter, eyes on me like I was a bit for the evening. I placed my plate down. Quick heads up, I said to the circle, my voice easy. I don't do comedy routines about my marriage, not my genre. The laughter died the way it should die when a grown man sets a boundary in daylight. Jenna blinked. Oh, come on, she said, forcing lightness. We're just joking, then joke without me. Nate cleared his throat. We're moving to desert, he announced, steering the herd. Jenna leaned toward me, hiss under sugar. You embarrassed me. No, I replied quietly. You embarrassed yourself. I prevented it from becoming a show. She stared like she'd found a nail in her shoe. On the drive home, she tried soft again. I'm sorry, she said, hands at 10 and 2. We've been off. I reached for humor. It was dumb, noted. I'll make it up to you. Not necessary. I want to. Wanting is cheap. Choices have invoices. She glanced at me. You sound like your invoices. I like things that add up. When we got home, she touched my arm at the door. Let's reset, she whispered. Movie in bed. I'll put my phone away. Promise. There it was. Second, softening. I looked at her at the hope she wore like perfume, and I waited against time stamps and exterior doors and grainy photos. Rain check, I said, moving past her. I've got early calls, she rolled her eyes. You're impossible. Thank you. 2 days later, Cole sent the final set. It removed all reasonable doubt. I drove to Miss Patel and signed what I needed to sign. We prepared the envelope. No fireworks, just signatures and a tidy plan. I moved the last funds I could move. I updated the wheel, the truck title, the shop lease. People think men like me fall apart. Truth is, we pick up a pin and a wrench and we rebuilt. That was the kill turn. The minute the papers were in a folder under my arm, the weight shifted from my chest to my hands. I stopped scanning for signs. I knew, which made the next message almost funny. That evening, I pulled into the driveway and the garage door opened on empty. I walked into a quiet kitchen, checked the time, and sent a simple text. Where are you? 1 minute, 2, then her reply. I'm not your property, and I don't owe you explanations. I'll be late. Don't call. Don't wait. I laughed. Not crazy, just clean. She had no idea the train had already left the station. I put the phone down, pulled a set of boxes from the hall closet, and got to work. I packed her clothes with the contractor's efficiency labels on each box with a marker. Bedroom first, drawers, dresses, shoes, bathroom. Next, cosmetics, hair tools, office, files, her notebooks. I left the items that weren't hers and the things I didn't want. I rolled the boxes to the front door, lined them along the porch, and set the folder from Miss Patel on top. Envelope with her name, one of my house keys inside. The kind you can keep out of nostalgia if you like symbols, but it didn't open anything now. I texted her again. I am no longer your husband. Do not come back. I turned my phone face down on the counter and made a simple dinner. Steak in the pan, salad in a bowl, 1 plate. The front camera showed movement. At 9:20, a car. Quick steps, then pounding. Michael opened the door. I didn't move. Michael, are you serious? This is ridiculous. My phone lit up with call after call. I let it dance. The knocking turned to yelling. What is this? Boxers. Are you out of your mind? Another call. Another. Then the tone flattened into an angry silence only broken by one last shout. And that's it. You're just going to end it like this. I rinsed my plate, set it in the rack, and breathed in the ordinary smell of dish soap. The pounding stopped. Footsteps. The camera showed her staring at the envelope. She opened it. Her face froze. She looked up at the door, waited. Nothing. She left. The porch returned to stillness. Boxes stacked like a verdict. Next morning at 6, I got in the truck and drove to the shop. Nay was already half through a breakfast burrito. You look lighter, he said. I took off weight, I told him. Good call, the only one left. What now? Now I build. She tried everything over the following week. Calls, messages, paragraphs. I answered none. Miss Patel handled the necessary notes. When Jenna appeared at the shop 3 days later, she looked around like she expected allies. My guys went quiet. She caught my eye. "Michael, can we talk? We're not doing this here." "Then where?" "Nowhere." I said, "You have the folder. You blindsided me. You wrote the script." I replied evenly. "I just delivered the last line." "That's not fair." Fair would have been a conversation when I asked for one. Fair would have been honesty. She folded her arms. "So, you're punishing me for being stressed?" "No, I closed a chapter you lit on fire." She blinked. I didn't. I raised a hand. "Stop. Don't rewrite in front of witnesses." Nate stepped closer. Not threatening, just present. Jenna looked at him, then at the source, then at me. "Can we at least meet tonight? Talk like adults?" We had that window. I said, "You shut it." "I'm warm enough." Her jaw moved, searching for a bite. She found none. "This isn't you." She tried. "This is exactly me." Decisive when the math is done. She stared for a second longer, then turned and left, almost tripping over a power cord. The door closed. Nate let out a breath. "You all right?" he asked. "I'm excellent." "Want coffee?" "I want measurements," I said, picking up my tape. The numbers obliged. That night, I slept like a man who doesn't hope. Hope is noisy. Clarity is quiet. Word got around without me speaking. Mrs. Alvarez caught me in the yard 2 days later. "I saw boxes go," she said, watering a row of stubborn plants. They needed a new zip code. "You okay?" "I always am." She came by this morning, looked lost. That happens when a map burns. She asked if I'd talk to you. I told her no, not my lane. "Thank you." "You were good to her, Michael." "I was good to us. She chose otherwise." Mrs. Alvarez nodded. "Feed yourself," she said. "Women say that too, but I mean it literally. Men forget to eat when they're building new walls." "I've got it covered." "Good. The world doesn't end. It remodels." The only time Jenna got any response from me was administrative. Miss Patel sent over dates and practical lines. I signed and moved on. On a Thursday, I drove out to a small lake with a toolbox and my phone set to silent. I watched a couple teach their kid to fish. Honest lessons. Don't jerk the line. Let it settle. Be patient. That's how I'd handled this. I didn't win anything. I just stopped losing. 2 weeks later, Nate dragged me to a barbecue at his cousin's place, an hour out. Different faces, same folding chairs. I brought ribs. I wasn't interested in telling my story. People always want the details. Who, where, how they can keep that itch. All I said when asked if I was seeing anyone was, "I'm seeing my life." It got a laugh and ended the thread. What I did share with a guy whose wife had started sleeping in silence, like it was a second job, was the only lesson worth handing out. "You don't argue with disrespect," I told him. "You price it, and then you change the contract." He nodded like he'd been waiting to hear that from another man and not from a quote on the internet. That matters more than it sounds. About a month after the boxers, I came home to my new place. Not far, just clearer. A small house with a big garage and a door that locks with a code only I know. A truck that starts when I ask. A shop that hums. I was chopping vegetables when my phone buzzed with a number I didn't recognize. A voice I did. "Michael," Jenna said, "can we talk civilly now?" We were always civil. I've had time to think. I'm short on that resource. You don't have to be cruel. Direct isn't cruel. She blew a breath into the line. I made mistakes. You made choices. I'm trying to apologize. I accept your attempt. That's all you have to say. That's all that's needed. You found someone. Her voice flinched around the question. Not your concern. You move on fast. I moved on right on time. Silence stretched. You really want me? She asked. No. After all those years don't erase lines. Another pause. You know, she said finally, grasping for leverage. People are going to think you overreacted. People are free to think, I answered. I'm free to sleep. I didn't expect you to be this cold. I'm not cold. I'm done. She made a small sound. Frustration, not sorrow. I hope you're happy, she said, which usually means the exact opposite. I am, I told her. Because I am. I hung up. I put my phone on the counter and went back to the knife and the board. Tomatoes don't take things personally. 3 months later, my life looked like this. Mornings in the shop, afternoons on job sites, evenings with a woman named Elise who laughs with her eyes and asks straight questions. We met at a supply house, arguing over tile. She has her own house, her own schedule, and zero interest in running mine. She's not a savior. She's a person. That's all I need. Nate met her and gave me a nod like a passing grade. She doesn't talk in riddles, he said, which is his way of saying he approves. Mrs. Alvarez stopped me on the sidewalk a week after that. I saw someone new come by, she said. Good for you. She's solid, as you should be. As for Jenna, I heard from a mutual acquaintance that her big plans fell apart in a boring way. The man she gambled on didn't stick. The apartment she picked was pricier than the words she'd used to justify it. She took on more hours. She told people I was cruel. People nodded politely and changed the subject. Life doesn't issue press releases. It issues bills. If you're waiting for my speech about forgiveness, you'll be late to a party that never started. I didn't need to forgive or hate. I needed to stop participating in a deal that treated me like a placeholder. I did that. I've been asked what I'd say to her if she showed up again. Easy. I'd say the only line that matters. The same one printed in my mouth the night I stacked her boxes on the porch. Not here, not anymore. And then I'd shut the door. Not with anger, with finality. Because that's how men like me operate. We don't stage scenes. We make decisions. We don't wait for permission. We draw our own lines and live on our side of them where the air is clean and the rules aren't shifting under our feet. That's the whole story. A mug in a sink, a string of late nights, a folder with signatures, and a front porch that saw more honesty in 1 hour than our living room did in a month. I didn't win. I didn't lose. I ended it with my name steady on the page. And when I lock my door at night, I don't listen for footsteps or explanations. I listen to nothing. It's my favorite sound. Our story has come to an end. If you've made it this far, how about subscribing to our channel? It helps us immensely. I've selected 2 other videos for you that I'm sure you'll enjoy. Feel free to click on them. I'll be waiting for you in the next story. See you soon.